In March of 2012, a married couple from Kansas matched all 6 numbers on a Powerball ticket worth $218 million. They held a press conference. They smiled for the cameras. They told the room exactly what they planned to do with the money. Reporters printed every word. Within 18 months, they were fielding lawsuits from strangers, phone calls from relatives who had been absent for years, and a federal tax bill that arrived with the kind of precision the IRS reserves for its largest targets. The money did not disappear overnight. It bled out through choices that felt reasonable in the moment and became irreversible before anyone noticed the pattern. The winners who avoid that outcome never get lucky twice. They get organized once, and they do it before the Lottery Commission ever cuts a check. The winning ticket is not a paycheck. It is a starting position. What happens next depends entirely on how the next 30 days are spent. The winners who understand that truth make their most important moves while the ticket is still sitting in a drawer. Number 12. Sign nothing, tell nobody, and contact a lottery attorney before the ticket leaves the house. Every lottery commission in the country prints the same instruction on the back of a winning ticket. Sign here. It feels like protection. In most states, it is a trap. The moment a winner's legal name lands on that ticket, it becomes a public document in most jurisdictions, and whatever privacy existed 10 minutes earlier is gone permanently. The attorney comes first. In several states, a trust can sign the ticket instead of a person, and the name that lands on the public record belongs to an entity with a deliberately unremarkable name. In states where personal claims are legally required, the attorney maps what comes next before the winner sets foot inside the lottery office. The second piece matters as much as the first. The morning after a win is the worst possible time to tell anyone. Not a spouse, not a sibling, not a closest friend of 20 years. Not because those people represent a threat, but because every conversation that takes place before the legal structure exists is a conversation that can be recounted in a courtroom later. A name on a public record cannot be removed after it lands. A conversation that happened before the structure was in place cannot be taken back. The attorneys who work this specific space give every client the same instruction on the first call. Secure the ticket, secure the silence, and then make the second call. Every time, in that order. Number 11. Form the trust before making the claim, not after. This is the move that separates winners who protect the money from winners who spend the next decade explaining where it went. A revocable living trust takes roughly 1 week to establish with a competent estate attorney. It costs a few $1,000s to set up correctly. The trust becomes the legal claimant. Its name lands on the press release instead of the winner's, and the money arrives inside a structure that already has rules governing how it moves, who controls it, and where it ends up. The privacy is the visible benefit. The financial benefit sits underneath it and compounds quietly for decades. Assets that land inside a trust from day one never pass through probate, and the savings on a 9-figure estate can rival the cost of a house. Creditors who arrive later have no clean personal target because the winner does not directly own what the trust holds. When there is no clean target, the lawsuit finds somewhere else to aim. The structure also forces a conversation the winner needs to have with themselves before the money arrives. Who is actually in control here? What happens to this if something happens to me next year? Winners who answer those questions with a signed legal document on day one almost never have to answer them in front of a judge later. The ones who skipped the trust because it felt like an unnecessary extra step spend years wishing they had taken it. The cost to establish it runs in the thousands. The cost of not having it shows up in 8 figures. Number 10. Hire a tax attorney as the first professional call, not an accountant. The distinction is not about credentials. It is about direction. An accountant's job is to record what already happened and file it accurately. A tax attorney's job is to reshape what is about to happen so the outcome lands differently. Most winners make the same first call. They phone a CPA, someone familiar, someone who has handled their returns for years. That person gives honest advice based on the situation as it currently exists. Take the lump sum. Set aside roughly 40% for taxes. The advice is accurate. It is just applied after every important decision has already been locked in permanently. A tax attorney hired before the claim operates in a completely different window. Nothing is cashed. Nothing is fixed. The attorney models the next 30 years against the winner's income history, their family structure, the size of their estate, and the state they call home. The annuity versus lump sum question gets answered with actual projections across multiple scenarios, not gut instinct made under pressure. The ownership structure gets designed from the beginning. The residency question gets raised before it costs 7 figures to answer differently. That planning work runs tens of thousands of dollars in professional fees. On a prize worth 9 figures, the decisions it shapes are worth tens of millions. No other professional, the winner, will ever hire charges less per dollar of outcome. That is the math that justifies the call. Number 9. Run the annuity calculation before touching the lump sum option. 90% of jackpot winners take the lump sum. Most of them decide within 72 hours of the drawing. The math behind that impulse almost never holds up under real scrutiny. A $600 million advertised Powerball jackpot carries a cash value of roughly $285 million. The lottery withholds 24% immediately for the federal government. The remainder of the federal bill arrives at filing time, where the top marginal rate of 37% finishes the work. The winner banks somewhere around $170 million and calls it done. The annuity pays the full $600 million across 30 graduated payments over 29 years, each approximately 5% larger than the one before. Every payment gets taxed as that individual year's income. Deductions get 29 separate chances to work. Charitable contributions, family gifts, and investment structures have 3 full decades to operate, rather than one frantic claim year where every decision lands under maximum pressure. And the winner cannot make a catastrophic call with money that has not arrived yet. That last point is not a minor footnote. The roster of lottery winners who eliminated a lump sum in under 5 years is long and thoroughly documented. The roster of annuity recipients who did the same is remarkably short. The annuity is not only a tax tool, it is a discipline enforcer that shows up automatically with every payment and asks for nothing in return. Mark Cuban has answered the lump sum versus annuity question publicly on more than one occasion. His answer has not changed. Take the annuity. Before number 8, one quick ask. Subscribe to the channel. It costs nothing, and it tells us to keep producing breakdowns like this one. Number 8. Use the claim timing window as a tax planning tool, not a countdown to the lottery office. Every Powerball ticket prints a deadline. In most states, winners have between 90 days and a full calendar year to come forward. Almost every winner treats that window as suspense rather than strategy. The tax code taxes lottery prizes in the year they are paid. That single fact creates a move most winners never see. A winner who hits the numbers on December 10th and rushes to the lottery office before the year ends owes the full federal bill on a return due the following April. A winner who waits and files the claim in the first week of January pushes the entire tax event 12 months forward, buying a full extra year of planning room and pushing the payment due date back by 15 months. Nothing about that wait is aggressive. The deadline on the ticket already allows it. During that window, the trust gets built and documented properly. The residency question gets resolved with a paper trail that survives a multi-year audit. The annuity decision gets modeled instead of guessed. The charitable structures get designed before the income lands, rather than after it has already been taxed. 2 winners can match the same numbers on the same night in the same state. and take home meaningfully different after-tax amounts based solely on when each one chose to walk through the lottery office door. That gap between the drawing and the claim is the cheapest tax tool on this entire list. It requires no filings, no special arrangements, and no attorneys beyond the ones already building the trust. It requires patience only, which is the one resource most jackpot winners spend first. Number 7, relocate to a no-income tax state before the money arrives, and make the move real enough to defend under audit. Federal tax on a major lottery prize is unavoidable. The state layer is a different conversation entirely. 7 states that sell Powerball tickets impose no personal income tax on their residents: Florida, Texas, Washington, Wyoming, South Dakota, Tennessee, and New Hampshire. A winner who lives in New York when the ticket is drawn, but establishes genuine Florida residency, before the claim is filed, has removed a combined state and city tax rate exceeding 12% from the entire jackpot. On a $300 million lump sum, that difference runs roughly $36 million. On an annuity paying out over 29 years, the savings accumulate with every single payment for 3 decades. California presents a specific case worth understanding. The state imposes income tax, but exempts its own lottery prizes entirely. Edwin Castro paid 0 state income tax on the $2.04 billion Powerball jackpot he won in 2022, the largest single ticket prize in American history, because the ticket was a California draw. For winners whose tickets were sold in high-tax states, that exemption does not exist. The move to a no-tax state is legal, well-documented, and executed by high-income individuals every year. Tax authorities know it, and they examine it seriously. Auditors review lease agreements, utility accounts, voter registrations, cell phone records, and the number of days physically present in each state across the relevant period. A move that exists only on a forwarding address does not survive that review. A genuine, well-documented, and timely relocation does. Number 6, fund a charitable remainder trust before the tax year closes. The charitable remainder trust is the move that reads as generosity from the outside and functions as tax engineering from the inside. A charity does eventually receive a real payment, but the structure is built to solve the winner's immediate problem first, and the immediate problem is a tax bill on income that has never been higher. The winner places a portion of the jackpot, call it $10 million, into the trust. Inside that structure, assets can be sold and reinvested without triggering capital gains tax on the transaction itself. The trust then pays the winner an income stream for a defined number of years, or for the winner's lifetime. Whatever value remains when the term ends flows to the charitable organization named at the beginning. Because that future gift has a calculable present value, the IRS grants an immediate charitable deduction in the year the trust is funded. On $10 million, that deduction regularly runs into the low millions and lands in the exact year the jackpot has pushed taxable income to its highest point in the winner's entire life. The winner commits to giving money away in the future and receives a tax reduction today in exchange for that promise. One rule governs everything. At least 10% of the trust's projected value must realistically be expected to reach the charity. The calculation shifts with interest rate assumptions and payout structure. These documents get drafted by estate attorneys who build them professionally. They do not get downloaded from the internet. Number 5. Open a donor-advised fund in the claim year and load it before the return is filed. The donor-advised fund is one of the cleanest instruments in the entire tax code, and most jackpot winners have never heard the name. The structure is direct. The winner contributes cash or appreciated assets to a sponsoring organization, typically a major financial institution or a community foundation set up to administer these accounts. The full charitable deduction arrives in the year of contribution, regardless of when the winner eventually directs grants to specific charities. Cash contributions can offset up to 60% of adjusted gross income in the contribution year. Appreciated assets, meaning stocks, real estate, or any investment that has grown in value, can be contributed at full current market value with no capital gains tax owed on the appreciation built up before the contribution. The money sits inside the fund, invested and growing tax-free, until the winner recommends specific grants to qualified organizations. That timeline belongs entirely to the winner. The contribution happens in year 1. The actual charitable giving can unfold across 20 years if that is what the winner prefers. For a jackpot winner, the timing of the deduction is the entire game. There is exactly 1 year when income sits at its absolute ceiling. A large contribution made in that specific year does more work per dollar than the same contribution made in any other year. The charities receive the money on the winner's schedule. The IRS effectively subsidizes a portion of the account at the winner's top marginal rate. The winner keeps full authority over where every dollar eventually lands. Number 4, build a family limited partnership and move assets into it at a legal discount. This is the structure that transfers generational wealth at a price the tax code itself sets below market value. The winner establishes a limited partnership, contributes jackpot assets into it, and transfers limited partnership interests to family members over time. Those interests carry a legal characteristic that makes the entire strategy work. They give the holder no management control and no liquid market to sell into. Because the interests are illiquid and non-controlling, the IRS allows them to be valued at a discount relative to the assets the partnership actually holds, typically between 20 and 40% below fair market value. $10 million moved through a properly structured limited partnership interest might count as only $6.5 million against the lifetime gift and estate tax exemption. That discount is the entire mechanism. Repeated across a large family and executed consistently over several years, it moves tens of millions to the next generation while consuming a fraction of the available lifetime exemption. The partnership also places a legal wall between the jackpot assets and any future personal judgment or lawsuit against the winner. The phrase properly maintained is not decorative language. Courts have torn apart partnerships that existed only on paper, with no documented business purpose, no genuine meeting records, and no real economic activity beyond the tax objective. The structures that survive audits and legal challenges hold genuine meetings, maintain documented records, demonstrate real economic operations, and could justify their existence even if the tax benefit were zero. Drop a comment right now. If the numbers match tonight, what is the first call you make? A lawyer, your closest family member, or nobody at all until the structure is ready? Read the other answers before you post yours. The pattern in those responses reveals exactly who has done their homework. Number 3, work the annual gift exclusion as a scheduled program, not an occasional impulse. The annual gift exclusion is the only tool on this list that requires no attorney fees, no court filings, and no complex legal structure of any kind. The IRS permits any individual to give $19,000 per year to any other individual with no gift tax owed, no forms required, and no reduction of the lifetime exemption. A married winner can split exclusions and give $38,000 per recipient per year. Run that across 10 children, grandchildren, and siblings, and it reaches $380,000 removed from the taxable estate every calendar year without a single document filed anywhere. Across a decade, the program moves nearly $4 million to the next generation without touching the lifetime exemption at all. 2 additional categories operate entirely outside the annual limit with no cap whatsoever. Tuition paid directly to an educational institution is not a gift under the federal tax code. regardless of the dollar amount involved. Medical bills paid directly to a healthcare provider carry the same treatment. A winner who pays a grandchild's $90,000 annual tuition bill straight to the university registrar has moved that money out of the estate on top of the annual gift program, with no tax event, no form filed, and no lifetime exemption consumed. The exclusion resets every January 1st without exception. Winners who treat it as a recurring financial obligation rather than a random act of generosity transfer millions across a normal lifetime without producing a single taxable event. It does not require a press release. It does not make the financial news. It compounds regardless. Number 2, establish a private family foundation and give the family name something permanent to stand behind. The private family foundation is where a lottery jackpot stops being a transaction and starts becoming an institution. The winner funds the foundation with a direct contribution of jackpot assets, cash or appreciated property, and receives an immediate charitable deduction of up to 30% of adjusted gross income in the founding year. The foundation earns tax-exempt status, invests the contributed capital, lets the growth accumulate free of income tax, and operates under a single ongoing legal requirement. At least 5% of its total assets must be distributed to qualified charitable causes each year. On a foundation funded with $50 million, that minimum is $2.5 million annually. The foundation's principal keeps compounding, and a well-managed foundation does not shrink. Children can sit on the board and receive reasonable compensation for genuine work, managing grant programs, overseeing scholarship funds, and directing resources toward causes the family has formally decided to support. The deduction in the founding year can reduce the jackpot's first-year tax burden by $15 million or more on a significant contribution, and every year that follows, the family directs millions to chosen causes without that money ever touching the taxable estate again. The IRS monitors private foundations closely on self-dealing rules, officer compensation, and annual distribution compliance. These are real obligations with real consequences for violations. Built on honest terms with genuine governance and real oversight, the foundation outlasts the winner, outlasts the children, and gives the family name a place in the world that no lawsuit, no divorce, and no market correction can erase. A jackpot buys the starting point. The foundation turns it into the point of the whole thing. Number 1, run the combination because no individual move is designed to carry a jackpot alone. The winners who walk away from major prizes with the fortune intact almost never made one exceptional decision. They made a sequence of connected decisions and executed them in the right order. The winners who lost everything, and the documented cases fill multiple books and entire chapters in legal textbooks, almost always collapsed at the same point. They made one large, permanent choice when a careful, staged series of smaller connected decisions was what the situation actually required. Abraham Shakespeare won $30 million in Florida in 2006. He claimed it in his own name, took the lump sum, and spent the years that followed giving money away with nothing structurally around the generosity. People appeared in his life offering business partnerships, investment opportunities, and deals that required his money, and returned nothing measurable. He was murdered in 2009 by someone he had welcomed into his trust and his finances. The money did not outlast him by long. William Post won $16.2 million in Pennsylvania in 1988 and was more than $1 million in debt within a single year of the drawing. His own brother contracted a hitman to kill him for the inheritance. His former landlord sued for a portion of the prize. Post spent his later years living on Social Security. Jack Whitaker won $315 million in West Virginia on Christmas night of 2002, one of the largest single-ticket prizes in American history at the time, and watched it dissolve across the following decade through lawsuits, theft, and giving that had no framework around any of it. He said publicly that he wished he had torn the ticket up. These stories get read as cautionary tales. They are actually predictable outcomes. Not because those winners were irresponsible people, because nothing in an ordinary life prepares a person for a decision of this size, made at this speed, with this much external pressure arriving from every direction simultaneously. The sequence that careful winners follow looks nothing like an impulse. It looks like a construction project executed in stages. The ticket goes into a safe deposit box the night of the drawing. The lottery attorney gets the first call the following morning. The trust gets formed and documented while the ticket sits in that box, untouched. The residency question gets evaluated with real numbers and actual timelines. And if relocating makes financial sense, the move happens with enough documentation to survive a multi-year audit review. The claim date gets selected deliberately, based on which tax year produces the more favorable outcome, not based on when the emotional pressure to go public becomes impossible to manage. The annuity option receives a genuine financial analysis built across multiple scenarios and modeled against the winner's actual life, not a dismissal driven by an immediate preference for total access to everything at once. In the first full year after claiming, a charitable remainder trust and a donor-advised fund together pull the opening tax bill down into a range that would have been impossible if the winner had simply appeared at the lottery office counter on day 2 with nothing in place. A family limited partnership and a consistent annual gift exclusion program open a transfer pipeline that moves wealth to the next generation across years and decades, rather than in a single large taxable event. Investment gains generated by the Jackpot assets roll into qualified Opportunity Zone funds inside the 180-day window, and the growth inside those funds compounds toward a federal capital gains exemption that rewards patience with completely clean money at the end of a decade-long hold. The portfolio eventually migrates into a private placement life insurance structure, where alternative investments grow without annual tax drag, where cash gets accessed through policy loans without triggering taxable income, and where the death benefit passes to the next generation free of income tax at exactly the moment it is most needed. The private family foundation anchors everything else. It gives the family name a permanent institutional presence that no individual financial move can create on its own. It pulls a charitable deduction against the highest income year the winner will ever report. It gives the children a professional purpose that runs alongside the wealth rather than simply waiting behind it to be collected without context or preparation. It transforms the jackpot from a single event into a permanent operating structure. And a structure is the only thing with a realistic chance of surviving long enough to matter across generations. The architecture scales in both directions. The same sequence that protects a $500 million jackpot works on a $25 million prize with identical logic. The numbers are smaller. The discipline required is the same. The consequences of skipping steps are equally permanent at both ends. What the IRS collects most from is speed. From winners who cashed the ticket before anyone built a container around the money. From winners who gave generously because they loved the people around them and never built anything that made the generosity sustainable over time. From winners who relocated to a favorable tax state after the claim date made the move irrelevant. From winners who called the accountant first and received perfectly accurate advice about a situation that had already been permanently locked. What the IRS collects least from is the winner who treated the ticket as a legal problem to engineer before it ever became a check to deposit. Who built the trust before anyone in their life knew the drawing had happened. Who hired the attorney before the money moved. Who selected the claim date with deliberate intention instead of appearing at the lottery counter because the secret had become too heavy to hold. Who ran the combination instead of the single play. The money is identical in both cases. The ticket value does not change based on what the winner decides to do with it. What changes is how much of it is still standing 5 years out, 10 years out, and a generation later when the name on the door belongs to someone who never held the original ticket. Architecture is the only variable that separates those two outcomes, and it is the one variable the winner controls completely from the moment the numbers line up. If this changed how you would think about a winning ticket, subscribe and tap the bell. Then watch the video on your screen right now, where we break down the moves lottery winners make to protect what they built from the people who come looking the morning the story gets out.